Hi, my name's Phil Gardner and welcome to Fun with Boxes. Well, Halloween is just around the corner, so what better way to plan for this than to take a look at the Kickstarter game that has just been fulfilled, and that is Haunticulture from the awesome Tinkerbot Games. Designed by Bevan Clatworthy and with wonderful illustrations by Alexandra Vardanian, Haunticulture is a spooky card hand management game where you will find yourself tending to the gardens surrounding the infamous Creepstone Manor of the game Ghostel fame. So, whose ghostly gardener will plant the spookiest of flower beds? Creepstone Manor is empty again. The last guest had ran screaming into the night as Tinker, Creak, Giggle and Boo, the Ghostel ghosts, celebrated their victory. But Spooky won't let them rest on their laurels. Oh no. The house is secure, so it's time to turn your attention further afield and sort out the gardens of Creepstone Manor. Unfortunately, being a ghost has certain disadvantages. For one, handling a spade is tricky when your hand keeps passing straight through it. But help is here for you. The resurrected gardeners from the manor's heyday have returned to lend their rotted expertise to you. Use your crew of zombies, skeletons and ghouls to grab plants and ornaments for your part of the garden. Hire new crew members such as werewolves and vampires to boost your work and get those extra flowers planted before the night is over. But beware, only those ghosts who show the greatest aesthetic eye will impress Spooky and be the best undead haunticulturist. Haunticulture is a 1 to 4 player game that takes around 60 minutes to play. It kind of plays like a mini deck building hand management game with some very clever tile placement for end of game scoring thrown into the mix. You use your zombies, ghouls and skeletons to put them to work in the gardens, tending to the various wild and creeptastic plants and ornaments that grow around the manor. And then the plants and ornaments that they get for you need to be thoughtfully placed into your part of the garden if you are to impress Spooky and win the game. Before we take a look at how the game plays, let's take a creepy Fun with Boxes look at this spooky gardening game, where if you have green fingers, well, they'll probably fall right off. Setting up the game is very straightforward. Use the greenhouse cards to form the outline of a 4x3 grid like this. If you are playing with 1 to 3 players, then you set up the outline of a 3x3 grid instead, just like this. Take the plant and ornament tiles and add all of them to the tile bag. Shuffle the tiles in the bag and then randomly place tiles on each of the greenhouse cards. You then take the 6 plant and ornament scoring cards and arrange them so that everyone can see them. Take the deck of special monster cards, shuffle them and place them on the table to form a special monster deck, and then turn over the first 4 cards to form a display of monsters that will be available for hire during the first turn. Then each player takes their garden board and the 3 tokens of their chosen colour, along with their coloured starting monster cards, which are 6 in total. So each player will have 4 zombies, 1 skeleton and 1 ghoul to help them at the start of the game. Each player places 2 gold coins in each of the 4 corners of their gardens and 1 single coin into the middle. Determine who will go first. Tinkerbot Games suggests the person who last watched a scary movie, and that player receives no additional gold coins, but the second player gets 1 gold coin, the third player gets 2, and the fourth player gets 3 gold coins. Finally, shuffle the secret objective cards and deal 2 face down to each player. Each player then looks at these and chooses one of them, returning the other to the box without showing anyone else what it is. You are then ready to play Haunticulture. A game of Haunticulture is played over 4 rounds, with each round split into 3 phases. the gardener phase, the planting phase, and lastly, the tidying phase. In the gardener phase, each player will play a card into the greenhouse and repeat this until everyone has placed 3 cards. Each time a player plays a card, they check the card and then activate its ability. The single ability is activated unless when the card is played, it is in line with 2 other cards of the same type. In this case, the 3 of a kind ability is activated instead. There are a number of different abilities depending on the cards played, and all are very straightforward and covered in the rulebook. Instead of playing a monster card, you can hire a new monster card from the face-up display instead. If you do this, remove one of the cards in your hand from play, and then pay the cost in gold for the new monster card, and play that card instead, activating its ability as normal. Place one of your player tokens on the monster so that everyone knows this monster now belongs to you. Once all players have played their 3rd monster card, the greenhouse is full and it's time to collect the plant and ornament tiles. Starting with the top row, count up the gardener skills of each player's monsters in that row. The player with the most points gets their pick of the tiles at either end of that row. The second player must take the remaining tile, and the 3rd and 4th players each receive 1 gold instead. If there are ties, the player who is earlier in the turn breaks that tie. And if a player is the only one in a row, they only get the 1 tile and the other tile is returned to the game box. Repeat this for all remaining rows and columns. Next we have the planting phase, where players place the tiles they received in the first phase into their gardens following certain rules. Basically, all plants must be planted in your garden even if you do not want to. And any ornaments may be placed into your garden if you can afford to build them, but any not placed can be kept until the next round until you choose to build them. Finally, there is the tidy up phase. Take all the monsters played and place them into their owners' discard piles. The greenhouse will now be empty, so we need to restock the greenhouse by drawing and placing tiles from the bag. If players do not have any cards in hand, they shuffle their discard pile and form a new deck of cards and draw a new hand of 6 cards. Discard all face-up monsters from the monster row and replace them with new ones. The player to the left of the first player now becomes the first player, and you are ready to start again. End of game scoring. At the end of 4 rounds, scoring takes place. Each plant and ornament has different rules for scoring at the end of the game, and you will need to score each one using the handy scoring pad. You will also reveal your secret task and add any points for fulfilling its requirements. And then the person with the highest score is the winner. I will not go through each plant and ornament as all the scoring is explained on each card and in detail in the rulebook. But just to give you a general idea, let's pretend your garden looks like this at the end of the game. First, let's see how much our gnomes are worth. We have 2, so looking at the card we score 5 points. Next we look at our moonflowers. We have 4 in a diagonal row, which gives us a whopping 16 points. Next, our gloomy blooms give us 4 points. Each gloomy bloom provides 2 points wherever it is in the garden. And on to our pumpkins. We have a patch of 4 pumpkins and each score 3 points, giving us 12 points. Yay! But we do have some pesky snapperweed spoiling the look of our garden and would lose 6 points for them at the end of the game. We should have paid attention and used our dig abilities during the game to dig them up, but never mind. So there you have a quick example of some of the scoring in Haunticulture. Well, there you have it. Haunticulture is Tinkerbot Games' follow-up to Ghostel. It has a similar feel to Ghostel, but plays completely differently and has a more complex scoring mechanic that really sets it apart from a lot of games. Gold coins are scarce and you have to carefully use them to get you the best advantage of the game. Do you pay for that ornament to get you the potential for a good score at the end of the game, or do you hire some of the special monsters to give you better actions throughout the game to increase your chances of getting the plants and ornaments you really need to get the most points by the end? It's easy to learn, quite quick to play once you're up and running, and offers a great deal of variability due to all the different plants and ornaments and the many ways to score points at the end of the game. The theme is brilliant and the artwork simply superb. It truly is a worthy successor to Ghostel and really takes things up a notch or 2. I cannot recommend this game enough. 2 fun with boxes thumbs up for this. At the moment it's now on pre-order direct from Tinkerbot Games. I put a link into the description below, so why not pop along and put an order in right now? You won't regret it. In the meantime, if you have enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and click that old subscribe button if you've not done already. This really does mean a lot to me. Take care and thanks for watching.